My guest today is Sharon Herrera, founder and executive director of a nonprofit called LGBTQ Saves. Sharon, assaults on the LGBTQ community by Texas officials and across the country are nothing new, but why are we seeing such a focus on drag queens and trans youth at the moment?
I really don't understand the hate or the lack of education. It's very difficult for me to grasp the why, but I know Texas has become a very dangerous and hostile place for especially our LGBTQ youth, our trans youth, and our trans people. So the fear, I don't understand at all. I was recently, earlier when we were speaking, I was talking about, I'm dating myself, I'm going to be 60 this year.
Okay.
So back in the day, in the 70s, I remember there was this comedian, and had his own show, his name was Flip Wilson, and he often came out in drag. So that was the first time I was exposed to it, and I'm not a drag queen. So it's very difficult for me to grasp the why.
It's not new.
No, the drag is not new, but it's difficult for me to grasp the why, the hate, and why all the nonsense that's going on right now towards the drag queens.
So you work directly with these populations through your nonprofit, especially trans youths. How do these legislative efforts and verbal assaults that we're seeing affect those communities?
My kids are hurting. My kids are in fear. We've had families move out of the state of Texas. So it's very important that my organization, LGBTQ Saves, stays intact because we're providing that hope, not only for the parents, but for the youth as well. So it's a huge impact on us, but we continue to bring people like Lambda Legal, ACLU, to educate our parents and to educate our children.
So go and remind us what all your nonprofit does.
We provide scholarships, we provide programming. Every Thursday we have an event for our kids, whether it's self-care or education from ACLU or Lambda Legal. We provide, we recently had a prom. We kept it very secret of where we were having it, and 73 youth showed up, and the youth planned it. So it was an incredible event, but as we move forward, that's how we have to continue making our events. Keep it off of social media until it's last. Just tell the kids, buy a ticket and this is where it's going to be. So we provide like free haircuts, gender binding wear, everything that the child needs to give pride and hope and be successful. So in order for them to thrive.
And specifically, and you know, we're going to continue to talk to some of these folks directly, but this idea that drag queens are a threat to minors, that seems to be they're a big talking point right now. I just wanted to get your thoughts on that.
I think what I'm understanding is we recently had a fundraiser at Tulips. I think they're more concerned as maybe at a bar, the age limit, maybe make it 18 and up or 21 and up. The fact that small children were in there, I think they're twisting it that way. So I think it's a big twist, like social media has become a big twist. So that's what I think is happening.
Well, what you're doing, and I've seen it firsthand, is you definitely provide a safe space for kids. Just be kids and to just have a childhood like we all kind of deserve.
Yes.
Where can folks follow your group if some of these youths want to attend some of these events? How do they reach out to you?
Yes. Our website, lgbtqsaves.org. Our email is contact us at lgbtqsaves. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook. You know, I always tell my story is my favorite song was Somewhere Over the Rainbow as a kid, but when I realized there was no such land for me, the song The Lullaby, Land in a Lullaby, when I was 16 I attempted suicide because there was no such land. And this is why I started LGBTQ Saves. September 2010 there was about 9 suicides back to back in our nation, triggered my suicide attempt. Working for Fort Worth ISD, I knew what was going on. Back then we used to see a lot of student-on-student bullying. Now I see adult-on-student bullying. So that's what's happening right now. Because the kids are giving me hope. Parents and kids always tell me I give them hope, but I'm receiving the hope from the kids that the world is going to get better because they're not putting up with what I put up when I was a kid. So a lot more smarter, a lot more savvy, and we continue to educate them on the laws that are coming against them, because preparing them to face the adult that's being the angry person at them.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that, because the last question I was going to ask you, and you just addressed it, is there has to be something we can have hope for.
Yes.
Because unfortunately, when I revisit your group, it's always in the context of there's some kind of backlash that's against these vulnerable groups that are already quite vulnerable. But you're saying your greatest hope is that this next generation are more empathetic and compassionate, and they're just not willing to engage in this kind of hatred and bigotry.
Yes.
Okay.
At the last picnic we had protesters.
Mm-hmm.
Kids couldn't even be bothered. They looked at them and then they went on. We've had
Yeah.
protesters at some of our campuses,
Mm.
and the kids the parents get upset. They'll contact me, and the kids go, just let them be, and they just walk on by. They'll take a picture, and the kids aren't even engaging. And I mean, for me, my life's been threatened, my job's been threatened. So
Yeah,
it's just
sure.
like, again, this generation that's coming up gives me so much hope
Mm-hmm.
that the world is going to get better.
Well, until that generation is of voting age, we appreciate the work you do to try to keep these communities safe and to be a voice for the vulnerable, unfortunately. But that's where we're at. So we appreciate what you do, Sharon, and we'll keep working with you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for what you do.
Thank you. Thank you so much. We have to continue building that safe, and not only safe, but brave space so these kids can be themselves.
All right. Thanks for sharing your message with us.
Thank you.